So, what if the key to stopping rape wasn't just about punishment? What if it was about, I don't know, completely rebuilding the entire justice system from the ground up? Today, we're digging into a pretty radical proposal from our source material that suggests exactly that, a full-on wartime approach to a crisis that, let's be honest, plagues not just India, but the entire world.
And it all starts with this really powerful idea. The whole proposal is built on the argument that when a society starts treating women like property, well, things get really broken really fast. This isn't just a crime problem. According to the source, it's a deep social and moral crisis that demands a truly radical solution.
Okay, so to really get why someone would even suggest such a drastic idea, you have to understand just how big this crisis is. According to the source, a woman's dignity is violated in India every 18 minutes. Just let that sink in. That's the horrifying reality this proposal is trying to tackle head on.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the crisis itself. Then we'll get into why the current system just isn't working. After that, we'll dive headfirst into the proposed solution, including this rape mitigation army. And finally, we'll zoom out and ask, could this be a whole new model for justice?
Okay, first up, let's really look at the numbers here, the data from the source documents, to get a handle on the scale of violence against women in India.
So get this. In 2020, the official number of reported crimes against women in India was over 371,000. But, and this is a huge but, the source material says the real number could be 10 times higher. 10 times. And why? Well, it's because for every crime that gets reported, there are so many more that don't, all because of fear, shame, and a justice system that feels completely broken. And that right there leads us perfectly to our next question. If so many victims feel they can't come forward, and the ones who do face this uphill battle, we have to ask, why is the system failing so badly? The proposal points to a few key reasons. You might remember the 2012 Delhi gang rape case. It was the story that horrified the entire world. And this timeline really shows one of the biggest problems the source highlights. The justice system moves at a snail's pace. I mean, it took 5 years, just for the Supreme Court to uphold the sentences. The proposal argues that kind of delay just completely destroys any public faith in the system. And look, the Delhi case isn't some isolated incident. It's just the tip of the iceberg. As of 2017, there were over 127,000 rape cases just sitting pending in Indian courts. That's not just a number, That's more than 100,000 victims and their families stuck in this awful legal limbo, waiting for a justice that might never actually arrive. So what's the deal? Why is the system so completely broken? Well, it's not just one thing. It's like a perfect storm of failures. You've got this ancient, slow-moving legal system, you've got corruption and influence messing with law enforcement, a serious lack of resources, and on top of all that, a culture that often blames the victim. It all just piles up to create a system that is failing the women of India big time. So with all those problems, it's pretty clear that just tweaking the system here and there isn't going to cut it. And that's where this proposal makes a huge leap. It calls for a total mindset shift. Stop treating rape like just another crime and start treating it like a national disaster that needs a wartime response. The proposal actually calls it a socio-medical pandemic. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, but it's not just some fancy phrase. By calling it a disaster, the whole game changes. The idea is to take power away from the slow, sometimes corrupt local authorities and put the federal government in charge. We're talking about the same kind of urgent all-hands-on-deck response you'd see for a massive hurricane or a deadly outbreak. And this chart really lays it all out. The difference is night and day. On one side, you have the current system, slow, tangled up in local politics, just a mess. And on the other, you have this proposed system, a rapid, powerful, federally led response. It's a complete paradigm shift, right? From a broken-down process to a well-oiled wartime machine. Okay, so what would this new federal agency actually look like? Well, the proposal gives it a name that is pretty intense: the Rape Mitigation Army. So the RPMA, that's the Rape Prevention and Mitigation Army, would be this brand new federal agency, but with some serious teeth. It would have the power to step into any rape case, anywhere in the country, and its word would be final. The whole point is to create a system that's fast, that's fair, and maybe most importantly, one that criminals are actually afraid of.
And this isn't just some vague idea either. The source material gets super specific about how the RPMA would be built. We're talking about a completely self-sufficient unit, right? It's got its own judges, its own investigators, even its own commando force for protection. This is a really detailed, thought-out blueprint for a totally new kind of justice system.
All right, so you've got this powerful new agency. But how would it work in practice, like day to day? Well, the proposal lays out a super clear protocol, and this is key, a system to keep it all in check.
Yeah, the RPMA's protocol is all about one thing: speed. As soon as a report is filed, a 24-hour clock starts ticking for the RPMA to be on the ground and take over. A trial gets set up within a week. And get this, no bail for the accused. This is a system built from the ground up to deliver justice that is both swift and certain.
Okay, but with an agency this powerful, you have to wonder, what's to stop it from going off the rails? And the proposal has an answer for that: the OSRPMA. Think of it as this secretive, almost spy-style organization whose only job is to watch the RPMA, making sure that justice isn't just fast, but also fair.
Yeah, the OSRPMA is basically the ultimate watchdog. Its agents would be at every single trial, totally undercover. They'd have zero power to interfere. Their only job is to watch and to report back. And to make sure everything stays above board, those reports would be made public after 6 months. So you've got this system that's designed to be incredibly powerful, but also transparent.
All right, so we've looked at the problem and we've walked through this incredibly detailed and, let's be honest, pretty radical solution. That brings us to the big question. What's the end game here? What's the ultimate goal of a new model like this?
You know, the real goal of the RPMA isn't just about punishment. It's about deterrence. It's about making the consequences so swift, so certain, and so severe that the very idea of committing this crime becomes unthinkable. The proposal aims to create a culture of fear, but not for the victims, for the perpetrators. And that leaves us with one last really big question to think about. We know this is a global crisis, and the world is searching for answers. So could a radical, wartime approach like this, if it actually worked in one country, become a model for the rest of the world? It's definitely a controversial idea, no doubt about it. But when the old ways are so clearly failing, maybe it's time to start thinking way outside the box.